tease last night was Stephanie and Liv. But it was more like Liv just letting her know, like, hey, I'm back. That doesn't mean Liv is going to be next in line for a title match. So, like, what is next for her? It would naturally be Raquel or Roxanne, would it not?
For Stephanie?
Yeah.
Well, Roxanne already made, I guess she has her eyes on Maxine Dupree. There was a backstage segment last week.
Well, I mean, not only that, but they were also in the tag team title mix at the end of the show last night. So
they won all the gold.
So there you go. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe they're going to go after all the gold, and it's going to be either Raquel or Roxanne next in line. Because remember, Roxanne had an issue with Nikki getting a shot over her. It's like, why is she getting a shot?
Yeah.
I'm the one who's gotten some wins in recent weeks. If not them, then who? It's like we're in kind of the same place on Monday with the main women's title that I feel like we're in on Friday, where we're kind of low on the challenger side. Like, realistically, who would be next in line for Stephanie?
Why is there not a focus on Stephanie to begin with? Like, I don't really understand.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue. I mean, this woman is barely visible on television.
Is she hurt? Do they not want to focus on her because she's hurt? I don't know.
No, I don't think she's hurt. I don't know what's going on. It's been this way for months, dude. There was a period of time in, like, August, maybe into the beginning of September, right before WrestlePalooza, where she did talk about how she had some kind of virus. She was sick. Outside of that, I cannot explain why or why it is that she is so seldomly visible on these shows outside of maybe a brief backstage segment here or there. She had one in-ring promo a few months ago where she actually got to cut a promo, and it wasn't bad. But they just don't feature her in any sort of significant way.
You know what would work here? This is where, because they got all these other women tied up in now the tag team title picture, which I mentioned last night, and I'll mention it now. It's almost like Triple H saw what Tony Khan's doing with his tag team division now with the women, and Triple H wants to get in on all the fun, like, oh, he's going to do that, I'll show him the star power I have. Look at these teams I have over here. Over here. So what I thought about what would work here, which we haven't seen in a while, this is where an enhancement match, like a local indie talent comes on in, Stephanie gives them 5-6 minutes, and then boom, you get her on TV, you get her wrestling
with the world champion. Shouldn't the world champion be wrestling enhancement talent on TV?
What else are you gonna do? Look at everybody else tied up. Who else is she gonna wrestle? Is the point I'm trying to make.
They should have somebody lined up for her. She's your women's world champion.
Yeah, they got Liv Morgan lined up for her now.
She's your women's world champion / crown jewel champion, whatever that's worth.
All right. Don't you think? I mean, don't you think she needs to wrestle in between with her and her next defense?
Yeah, but she should be. Yeah, but if you have your world champion, I don't put them in there with scrubs. I mean, I put them in there with people that have some level of credibility on the roster that people know.
I don't know. Just get her in the ring to wrestle. She's too good to just be hidden away. Like, fine. She doesn't speak well. She speaks fine in my opinion, but I mean, what else? What else are you going to do? There's nothing else for her to do. And it's sad. It makes me question why they even call these people Julia, Stephanie. Like, Stephanie's just a token champion until they get the belt on who they really want.
Julia who? Who's this Julia that you speak of?
I don't know. Where is
Who's she?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know who she is anymore. You have a better idea. Show sucks. Men's War Games. Cody, Punk, Reigns, Uso, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso, the Usos. Against Brock, Drew, Logan, Braun, and Bronson Reed. There was a report from WrestleVotes about a political play backstage where there was egos running wild about who's coming out first and who's coming out before who. And I said, all these egos in one match, and they're all concerned about who the fuck is coming out as far as their entrance first over the other. Like, why don't you make sure the match is the way it needs to be before you start complaining about who's coming out first?
Yeah, they're so worried about, well, who's going to come out first and who's going to come out last and who's going to come out second. Like, can you imagine them actually trying to figure out who's getting eliminated in a traditional elimination match?
Oh, that would have never worked out.
What a fucking nightmare that would be. Like, half the team would be counted out or disqualified because we can't beat people. So we'll have them wrestle off into the crowd and we'll just count them out. Like, what a disaster that would be. When they came out, I was surprised that Punk came out first. Because he is one of the, I don't know. Would he be the oldest one in that match?
Well,
I
it
think he would.
would have either been Roman first or last. So that's the way he
Yeah,
just
but-
usually operates.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying, like, Punk, I think, was the oldest one. How old is Brock? Punk's older than Brock, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Punk's the oldest one in the match. He's 47 years old, 48 years old. And he's coming out there at the beginning of a match that you know is not going less than 40 minutes. So I was like, wow, that's okay. That's a choice. Now, I didn't even notice anything. So, a couple of things about Punk's entrance. Obviously, we found out the awful news today about Larry the dog.
Yes.
So, Larry the dog passed away. I don't know exactly what day, but obviously it happened either the day of Survivor Series or sometime before. It happened before Survivor Series, maybe not the day of. But when he came out, I didn't even really pay too much attention to the fact he was wearing a jacket that said Larry's dad. If you go back and look, he's like clutching the jacket, and he looks very sad. Like, you could tell when you really look at his face, you could tell that he just didn't look in a great mood. The other thing I also didn't notice was, and I should have noticed this because I'm a huge fan of the movie, on his gear, he had Halloween 3 gear that he was wearing. So if you've ever seen the movie Halloween 3, which again, in my opinion, is the second best of all the Halloween movies, it's the one that had nothing to do at all with Michael Myers. But it's about this, this evil warlock, basically, who's in human form, who creates all of these Halloween masks that they're selling, and they're all the rage. They're really popular, and kids are buying them up, or the parents are buying them up. And it's for the big giveaway on TV at 9 o'clock on the night of Halloween. But what happens is when you put the mask on, bad shit happens. And worms and bugs and snakes come out of it, and it kills the kids. That's basically the idea behind it. So on his gear, he had all the different Halloween 3 masks on it. And then he had, there's like a little shamrock, I think, that he had on his jacket. And that was the name of the company in the movie that produced them, Silver Shamrock. So I don't know how I didn't pick up on that, but like, hey, hat tip to Punk. He's got a good taste in movies. The Larry thing is really sad, though, because you could tell just from like the videos that he would post and the way he would talk about him, even in AEW, like how close he and AJ obviously were. This was like their child in many ways. You know, they got Larry from No Kill Shelter, I think about 10 or 11 years ago. And, he had, I don't know what the issues were, but clearly he had certain challenges, certain physical challenges. But I remember him saying as soon as he saw the dog, like, he knew, like, that's our dog.
Not a fan of keeping score. I'm not keeping score.
Shut up.
Saw the dog, like, he knew, like, that's our dog. So they took in Larry, and Larry just became this whole popular character in wrestling. And if you've ever had a pet as part of your family, then you know that the worst part about having a pet is that they don't live long enough, and that eventually you're going to have to say goodbye to that pet. So whether it's a cat or a dog or whatever it may be, and I know you can relate to this, it is one of the worst feelings in the world.
Yeah, I would never wish that pain on anybody, even my most mortal enemy. It's awful. I still have not recovered from last year. I think about that every day. I work in this office, legitimately right on my floor, where she passed away, right in this room. I read his message on Instagram today. I was sitting in my chair here, and I was drinking my coffee, and I actually got a little teary-eyed reading the message. And he posted all of his IG stories is nothing but pictures of him and Larry, friends of his with Larry. It's literally the worst fucking feeling I've ever encountered in my entire life. Honestly, it's awful. So I feel for him. Me and Jason wish him nothing but the best. Him and AJ. That's just awful. I did notice the jacket. I didn't really kind of correlate that there was something wrong there. I just thought he was just showing love for Larry, but we found out today that Larry had passed on. So, but
So going into a match like that, with that on your mind, I'm sure was not easy. And now we know why he wasn't on the show last night. They said he wasn't medically cleared. I'm sure he just wasn't on the show last night because of what was going on.
More than enough reason to miss a show for sure.
Yeah,
but
but it was him and Braun Breaker
Yeah.
who opened the match, and we're going to be seeing more of those two very soon. Obviously, they factored into the finish together as well. So, but again, as was the case with the women's match, not a whole lot going on in the early part of this War Games match.
No, Punk entered first. I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, he's going to go at least 40 minutes, so he's got quite the undertaking for himself here. But it's Punk. and he's done a lot in his short time back in WWE. But he went 40 minutes here. He started the match with Breaker. He climbed the cage just like AJ Lee did when she entered for the women. She climbed up the cage to enter because Becky had stranglehold on the door, trying to hold it shut so AJ couldn't get in through the door. So AJ climbed up and Punk did the same thing. So they went back and forth. So this was where the heels had the advantage in this because McIntyre and Logan Paul on Raw beat the Usos to get the War Games advantage, whereas in the women's match, the baby faces had the advantage, which you look at that and it's like, well, that's odd. You know, you got a War Games match and the heels are fighting from behind. It's just kind of like bizarre to even look at, which added to the there's insignificant heat that the match had. It's like, what were they really fighting for, and who was threatened?
Well, you know what the problem with that is? You can't. I understand that you can't well have the heels just get the advantage every year.
No.
The problem is we have 2 War Games matches now. If you only had one, I feel like it would be less of an issue. And you could still have the heels mostly get the advantage, but then have that odd year maybe where the baby faces get it. But when you have 2 War Games matches, it's almost like you're compelled to do like, okay, one has, you know, the baby face advantage and the other one has the heel advantage. So that's where I think having 2 in the same night works against them.
Well, it would be a lot better if there was actually some significant story that we cared about and we didn't really focus on this minor shit like that. But that's what happens when there is 2 and it happens every year. It's like, how many times can you do the same thing over and over again? You got to do something different. You're compelled to do something different. So Punk was in there, and he actually was fighting from behind. He had Drew McIntyre and Braun Breaker in there at the same time. So he was down a man here until we got the next one to come out, which Cody Rhodes saved the day. Cody came out in the middle here. So he's the WWE champion, and with the whole political argument that WrestleVotes put out, Cody came out here, and he got his... I just find it funny how he kind of lingered on the outside until we got to the woe section of his song, so he also climbed up to the cage. So he wanted to get his big elaborate entrance there, so he climbed up the cage.
I'm sorry, boys. I can't help you yet. We haven't gotten to the part of the song yet.
So he climbs up, and he does a crossbody off of the top. And he was actually off the top of the cage. It wasn't just off the top rope. He came off the top of the cage. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So it looked good. It looked like he wasn't going to kill himself. It was a safe enough spot. So we had Breaker in there, and this is the spot that a lot of people were talking about by the time this match was over. The Doomsday Device by Punk and Cody on Braun Breaker, where he landed very awkwardly on his neck. I jumped off my couch. I'm like, ugh, that looked fucking terrible. But I attributed Jason to Braun Breaker not having, he's not human. He might not even have a real neck, honestly. And I remember I go to see these death metal bands where the singer, who doesn't play an instrument, he's just on stage and he's fucking twirling his hair and his neck and he's just fucking headbanging to 12 songs for an hour and a half. It's like, my dad used to call those guys rubbernecks. So it's like Braun Breaker's got a rubberneck. It's like you can't hurt him. So he just popped up and he was continuing the match like nothing happened. Continuing the match like nothing happened.
Yeah, for a guy that they seem to really be building a lot around heading into next year, that might not be the smartest thing for him to be taking moves like that. He should be the one giving moves like that. I don't know that he should be the one taking a move like that, but yeah, I mean, I guess the doctor went over to check on him off screen and make sure he wasn't concussed or anything like that, and I guess he was okay. But yeah, it was, in the moment, it was a very scary, it was just a very scary landing. And, it's tough because, I don't know, man, when you do a move like that, I don't know, has he ever taken a Doomsday Device before? I don't remember ever seeing him take that bump before, because usually he would be the one doing a move like that. So did he just kind of forget where he was? Did he? I don't know. People were blaming Punk. I saw some people blaming Punk online. I'm like, what are you blaming Punk for? What did he do? He didn't do anything wrong. It's just a bad landing. Like, there's no blame to really go around. It's just They're lucky it didn't go a lot worse.
If you're a savant in pro wrestling, you've seen the Steiners or the Legion of Doom deliver a fucking doomsday device where the guy shouldn't even be alive after the fucking move was executed. You kidding me?
Yeah.
You've seen that a lot worse. But like in 2025, you're kind of shocked to see something like that because, like Jason said, this has the future of the fucking company.
Yeah. Maybe protect him a little bit more.
I guess Hody took those comments he said on Friday with that impassioned promo where he said there'll never be a situation where a Steiner's better than a Rhodes. I'm like, all right. He took that literally and he wanted to fucking kill the guy. So he's in there. Doomsday device. He ended up all right. Logan Paul came out. He brought in steel chair. The guys didn't bring in weapons until this. Logan Paul went underneath the ring and
Drew told him to. Drew's like, go grab some chairs. But here's the thing that I laughed at. And I guess they wanted to do it for like dramatic effect. Like they had that moment where he motioned to Paul Heyman, give me the knucks. And Paul Heyman pulled out the brass knucks. I'm like, dude, you could have just brought it in yourself. You know that, right? You didn't have to ask somebody else for it.
Maybe he forgot. He wasn't thinking about it.
Okay. Is that what you're going with?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
He forgot? Okay.
Yeah, he forgot the nugs.
Slipped his mind?
Yep. So he brought in chairs.
Obviously gave it to Heyman. So, I mean, he clearly knew that Heyman had it.
So he brought in chairs at the request of McIntyre. Uso came in, and then he brought in a Slim Jim table because Big Jim needs the Slim Jim.
Oh, yeah.
So he brings in the table. The heels are in control. Bronson Reed came in. He tsunami'd everybody. Punk, Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Cody got tsunamis. So at this point, Jey Uso comes in. And fans were yeeting. He came down. He took his time. You know, he didn't really run to the ring. There wasn't a sense of urgency from Jey Uso. So he gets in there, he hands out super kicks, helps Jimmy to his feet, some more super kicks. They give Logan Paul a 1D. And then Jey does the running back. He climbs the cage. And in the middle of the War Games match, we're about 25 minutes in this thing now, he climbs the cage, and like Jason said, he does things to the cage up on top, and he starts eating with 46,000 people at Petco Park in San Diego. Now, on a normal situation, Jason, when he wants to run it back, it's fine. I'm over it. I don't give a shit. I know why they do it. But, I mean, on Saturday I said I wish that they would read the room a little bit. There are situations that I feel like WWE abuses. And this is not one of those situations where I feel like it's called upon to go just stop a War Games match to go fucking yeet. But there are times and places where that should not be even a thought in anybody's mind on the creative team. Let's have this guy stop the match to go yeet. Like, it almost makes the joke of the match. Like, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but I gotta call it out when I see it. Shit like this happening. It doesn't need to be there. Like, you do it enough, take the match and make it a fucking serious thing, and play the match as it's supposed to be, a war. I never seen a war game. Have you watched old school War Games matches where they stopped the match and they just fucking did whatever crowd participation in the middle of the fucking War Games match?
Where the Horsemen and Dusty started dancing to Dusty Down in the middle of War Games? I don't remember that War Games. I never saw that one.
I mean, Punk got into it because he was playing air guitar on the steel chair, and then he went right back to fucking bashing people with the steel chair while Uso was up on top of the cage eating. Like, come on, man.
Well, look, even that one Royal Rumble where his dad, in the middle of the Rumble, was the one in Madison Square Garden, where he started doing the dance with Too Cool, like in the middle of the Rumble, right? But then as soon as the dance was over, I think he eliminated Too Cool. So at least they had that little follow-up to it.
Yeah, that's fine. If there's nobody in the ring and you got to wait 90 seconds for the next guy to come out, fine.
Well, they got the visual of him, again, doing unspeakable things to this poor cage, and then all of a sudden, Brock Lesnar's music hits. And it's like, okay, party's over. You know, enough of the fun. Here comes Brock. He's not going to stand for this.
I'm Miria. I'm a storyteller, seeker, and artist. And through my travels, I take you into Sweden's mystical.
And so out he came to the ring. And that was just a trip just to see him even involved in a match like this. Because he's never been a part of it before. And they said, like, he's never even been in any sort of tag team situation since 2003 or 2004.
Yep.
Because he doesn't play well with others. You know, he's always been a loner. He does his own thing. So there was the novelty of seeing him be a part of, like, a team, which we don't get to see. So, of course, he came in and he starts throwing people around and suplexing people, which is what you would expect him to do. I don't think he didn't come out with a weapon because he didn't really need a weapon.
No,
He is the weapon.
Brock Lesnar is the weapon, and then he's got the
Yes.
cage. So it's like,
Yes, which they didn't really. I mean, we kind of glossed over that Cody did bleed a little bit.
Yeah, Punk
did
yep.
bleed. Again, it wasn't a lot, and it doesn't have to be a lot. I think probably towards the end of the match, the blood was gone. I didn't even see any blood on him at that point.
no.
But we got at least a little bit of color in a War Games match, which I think you should have.
Well, I mean, do you find it to be odd that it's Cody and Punk? I mean, they're as old school as it is, so it's like
No,
they probably
not.
went to Paul Levesque and said, we need some color here, and we want to bleed, so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they did, or even if they didn't, I mean, it's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission sometimes. And if
Yes.
anybody can get away with it, they're the two champions, right? You would think that they're in a position where they can get away with it. Look, it's Cody.
Yes.
He's Dusty's kid, so
Yes.
of course he's going to bleed.
Yes. So I did very much enjoy that. Lesnar came out. I mean, everybody was complaining it's the same shit, which I agree with. F5s and F5s and suplexes. But the thing is, you look at Brock Lesnar contained inside this War Games, it's just a sight to behold. He's never been in it. You know, this is a match that is built for a guy like that. And the fact that he's even in there was just a spectacle in itself. So I didn't really give a shit what he did in there. I just want to see him throw people around like the fucking animal he is. So that's exactly what happened here, and I enjoyed that. And then, like we talked about earlier, they instituted this new rule where if you escape the cage or leave the cage at any point during the match when it is in progress, I guess when the bell rings, right? When the bell's officially rung and the match is already started.
Well, that was the thing. And I don't think I realized that at first.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw Brock exit the cage door and stand on the steps when he knew Roman was coming out, I said, wait a minute. Did he forget the rule? But then they made it clear, like, once War Games officially begins, so the bell has to ring, everybody's already out there. At that point, you're not allowed to leave the cage or else you forfeit for your entire team. But up until that point,
It's free reign.
I guess, I guess it's fair game. So this was, at least they kept it to this one
Yes.
part of the match where they exploited this loophole.
Yes, and it made sense that it was Brock who kind of waited for Roman to come out because Roman was the last one out because Brock wanted revenge on what Roman did to him at MSG with the Superman punches and kind of embarrassing him there. So we got them with this gunslinger showdown in the aisleway. Brock came out right before the bell rang, so it was fair game to them. They brawled on the outside. We got a table spot. We got some hijinks on the outside, and then everybody eventually made their way back into the ring. And from that point on, it lasted another 10 minutes or so. And the situation all resulted in a masked man, a mystery man, wearing black. He had a face mask and a black hoodie. He climbed the cage, and he attacked Punk with a super kick. And then he also hit a curb stomp, and the crowd popped because they saw Seth Rollins' finishing move being executed here. And Wade Barrett went on to say, well, that couldn't have been Seth. He just had shoulder surgery. I'm like, yes, Wade Barrett, it's not Seth Rollins. I don't think it's Seth Rollins, but there's another name that people were talking about as the identity of the mystery man. So he quickly left.
Can we just acknowledge how stupid even the idea would be that it would be Seth Rollins? Like, what sense would it even make for it to be Seth Rollins?
Well,
Tell me what sense it would make.
Well, it was even, I know where you're going to go with that, but it was even more ridiculous where it was like Adam Pearce was whispering to Eddie Orangel, the referee. I'm hearing murmurs and whispers that people saw Seth Rollins walking around without his sling. It's like, what? So I know you mentioned it. I know I mentioned it last night. How stupid would it be for him to give up his championship only to then help the guys who took him out of the fucking group? You think we're fucking stupid?
We pulled one over on you. I'm like,
Who
what?
would write that?
Yeah, like it doesn't. Like, people, they get so wrapped up in the moment. It's like, oh, he did it again. He fooled us again. I'm like, fooled us in what way? How did he fool us? Like, the only fool would be Seth Rollins in this situation. So that doesn't even make any sense.
Let me vacate the title and get kicked out of my own group to then help them win War Games against my mortal enemy, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I know how we can get one over on the marks. I'll give up my World Heavyweight Championship. That'll fool them. So whoever the person was getting in and out of the cage awfully quick.
I can see myself ending up with this girl.
You can't tell her the truth. You want me to be your fake wife.
Whoever the person was getting in and out of the cage awfully quick. So we can rule out some of these other names people were floating on.
Well,
social media.
it could be Chris Jericho, man. We don't know.
Oh, sure. Jericho, I mean, hey, he got himself in good shape. I'm sure he can move like quick as a cat out of the cage like this person was. Or even, how about Randy Orton, who's gigantic and as big as he's ever been. I don't think Randy Orton in his youth was moving around as quickly as this person was in and out of that cage.
No.
So the other thing we have to keep in mind here also, and I don't think it's going to be any of those people, but clearly we are not going to get the reveal for a while.
No.
And so technically, whoever ends up being revealed as the mystery attacker, it doesn't really have to be whoever was under the mask on Saturday at the actual event. So they could technically substitute anybody in there that they want to. So let's just keep that in mind. But I said it in my review before I even saw the report from PW Insider. I said, okay, it's Austin Theory. We heard the name mentioned, right? Meltzer was the first one many weeks ago who suggested he was going to be in the match. And I think we talked about it last week when we were going over the preview, where Seth Rollins getting hurt really did change the entire complexion and makeup of this match. This is a very different War Games match in terms of who's in it if Seth doesn't get hurt. And I think we would have seen Austin Theory with the Vision already. I think we would have seen Austin Theory joining the Vision at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
And he would have already been in the group. He would have helped him beat Punk that night.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So they had to recalibrate and pivot and go a different way. And so, yes, they're going to introduce Austin Theory, clearly, as a new member of the Vision. And he will ultimately, whenever that day is, he will be revealed as that guy. And I hope it works out for him, because he has really been somewhat, like, for me, the way I look at this truly is make or break. Either this works, or I think his run, his career there is really, for all intents and purposes, he's cooked. I think it's over. Because it's a very difficult thing, even now, to try to rehab him and get him to a level where the fans actually see him as a credible person on that roster, because he's been so marginalized since beating John Cena at WrestleMania. And think about how crazy that sounds. How marginalized he's been since beating John Cena at WrestleMania. You talk about a wasted John Cena win. That's one of the most wasted John Cena victories probably of the last 10 years, right?
Well, Vince loved him. It was more Triple H had no plans for him.
Well, I mean, that's what people have always said, but the reality is, like, he still got a win over John Cena at WrestleMania, and how you squander that is still something that boggles my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't much of a match. It wasn't actually a very good match at all.
10 minutes was awful.
It was 10 minutes, and, he cheated, obviously, and all that, but to do nothing with him and to go nowhere, and then he ends up being a comedy character on the show with Grayson Waller. He did that for like 2 years. And the longer you're in a comedy spot or a low-card spot like that, it gets harder and harder for people to one day kind of wake up and be like, oh, I'm supposed to take you seriously now as a main eventer. Oh, okay. It's a hard thing to do. So if it is him, and I think it is, I hope that this will be the big break that he has been searching for, because I do think as a wrestler, he's actually very good.
Yes.
But he's just been very bland. We just haven't had a real opportunity to see him, I think, truly come out of his shell. Maybe this will help him get there. But if this doesn't work, I think that's it. Like, there's really nowhere else for him to go but down if this doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that this will work. I think him standing next to Heyman and standing next to Logan Paul is going to make him kind of stand out just by association. Is this going to be a situation where you look at Austin Theory, and everything you said is factually correct? Is this a situation where he's been absent and off TV for a long time, and that people are not going to remember any of what you just said and are going to embrace him because it's been a long time since he's been on TV, and now he's back, and it's a long enough time to where people are going to be like, all right, let's give him another shot?
No, they'll remember. I don't think they're going to forget. In fact, I would even do a segment where maybe he bumps into Waller in the back and beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Because Waller was talking all kinds of smack. Remember when they took him off TV? I think he was hurt. But then they just pivoted to this thing with Waller and the New Day, and Waller was like talking all kinds of crap about him. So, no, I don't think people are going to forget, and I wouldn't ignore it. If he joins, it could just be a random segment even. But absolutely, I would have him, even if it's just a one-and-done quick thing, like, he needs to do something to Grayson Waller, something brutal, where, he kind of gets his revenge for all that, puts him down, and puts it in the rear view. I don't think people are going to forget, but I do think that if they play their cards right here, and you got Heyman, with him, and he's surrounded by all these other guys, I think he'll do well. I think he'll do okay, but
When you have the smartest Wi-Fi from Xfinity, you can seamlessly stream